There are new calls to action this morning for a nationwide shift in spending habits to support Australian-made products.
Now, the Back Australia campaign is highlighting how everyday buying choices can boost local jobs and industries, adding $16 billion to the economy.
Hello, welcome to Media Watch. I'm Linton Besser. And yes, it's time once again to drape ourselves in the flag and pour pocket money into Aussie businesses to rescue the country's future, with Newscorp's capital city tabloids leading the charge.
Let's back Australia! PM and business leaders pledge to help us rebuild our great nation.
With pages and pages of rah-rah for a restoration of good old Aussie-made.
Return to a nation that makes things. Buying local could generate an extra $16 billion.
All of it proudly supported by a list of everyone's favourite companies, from retailers to boot fitters to one of the big four banks. The impassioned campaign led by Newscorp personality Joe Hildebrand, who appeared not just on the Newscorp-owned Sky News, but also on rival Seven, along with some Back Australia livery and Westpac-supplied stats.
We need to be able to make stuff here, not just for the sake of our economy, but for the sake of our national security and our sovereignty as well.
With a whole week of nightly packages on Seven featuring local businesses as well as campaign partners like Twiggy Forrest and Harvey Norman boss Katie Page. And a week of green and gold banners splashed through the pages of the tabloids. Newscorp has said its campaign had its genesis in feedback from readers eager to back Australian companies, and well may that be the case. But it is also plain to anyone with half a grey cell that this was also a mega money spinner designed to salvage Newscorp's ailing balance sheet, and which, the Australian Financial Review pointed out, somehow overlooked several tenets of modern economics.
Australia's economic future depends not on romanticising industries the world has long since left behind, but embracing innovation, competition and openness.
Despite his investment in famed local bootmaker RM Williams, Andrew Forrest, as well as Dick Smith and Katie Page, were in the eyes of the financial press a curious trio to help push Australia's return to manufacturing. And why might that be?
Smith made millions selling repackaged Chinese electronics. Page makes a fortune selling Chinese and Korean TVs and gadgets. And Forrest is a billionaire because China buys his iron ore by the ton.
Back Australia also provided a glowing halo for sponsors who've suffered the odd reputational hiccup, including Qantas, fined for the illegal sacking of staff, Westpac in trouble for alleged insider trading, and Coles, which was recently found to have underpaid staff to the tune of tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. With his usual subtlety, Crikey's firebrand, Bernard Keane, put it this way.
Doubtless all are grateful to Newscorp for helping them whitewash their reputations.
Come to think of it, are all of these sponsors really so dinky-die? What about Cadbury, which is owned by multinational confectionery colossus Mondelez, or Vodafone, whose majority owners are variously domiciled in Britain and the Cayman Islands, or, dare I ask, News Corporation, which, despite all them fighting words, is in fact an American company headquartered in Manhattan, as this exchange on Sky News rather delicately acknowledged.
So we should say one thing, and that is News Corporation is a global business. How do you reconcile that with a backing Australia campaign?
Oh, our origins are in Australia. We are, regardless of where we operate in the world, we are quartered here.
Nice save, Michael. It might also be worth pointing out that neither News Corp nor Vodafone has deigned to pay any corporate income tax in Australia for the better part of a decade.
To back Australia, the least a corporation can do is pay its basic corporate income tax to help fund essential public services, rather than abusing loopholes to shift profits offshore.
Economists have told Media Watch the News Corp campaign suffered a couple of, shall we say, blind spots, which...
Ignore the economic reality about the cost of living. The confection of buying Australian-made quickly disappears when your money doesn't stretch as far as it did.
And, as Saul Eslake explained, a larger manufacturing sector would mean...
Our overall standards of living would be lower. Why would we want to do that? Just for whatever warm inner glow might be generated from knowing that we were making more stuff?
These are, of course, mere inconveniences which could never have stood in the way of this freight train of sponsored content. In fact, campaigns like this appear to have become a core feature of the tabloid's business model, with no fewer than 4 other examples in the past year alone where news pages, once sacrosanct, were happily transformed into rallying cries for energy, insurance, education and mining industries, and which have raked in millions. A spokesperson for Newscorp told us,
Back Australia is not calling for a simplistic cross-the-board resurrection of the manufacturing industry. It is advocating for governments at every level to get policy settings right, to unleash investment and innovation in areas where Australian enterprises can win.
We asked 7 News if its stories were also sponsored, and a representative told us,
Our involvement was purely editorial. No payment, no sponsorship, just stories we covered because they mattered to our audience.
Last month, Newscorp filed its latest financial results, and they weren't pretty, with falls in circulation, advertising and subscription revenue, and an after-tax loss of more than $27 million. So, whatever merit there might be in this patriotic, feel-good campaign, let's not mistake this for anything but a cash grab by a 20th century newspaper business doing what it must to survive in the 21st. And now to the gorgeous New South Wales town of Coffs Harbour, where FM radio lovers were delivered this midday bulletin last Thursday by Triple M's local newsreader.
Hey, I'm Tessa Randello with your local headlines. A Mid-North Coast nurse is in the running for Senior Australian of the Year.
She also brought the New South Wales Riverina its midday news some 900 kilometres away.
Hey, I'm Tessa Randello with your local headlines.
And miraculously, 3.5 hours up the highway in the New South Wales town of Orange too.
Hey, I'm Tessa Randello with your local headlines. The driver's been charged after a collision with an e-bike.
Yes, last Thursday, Southern Cross Austereo newsreader Tessa Randello, who is actually based in Sydney, voiced as many as 39 bulletins across 4 local regions. The day before, she was bringing the news of North Queensland to Townsville.
Townsville's 102.3.
Hey, I'm Tessa Randello with your local headlines.
And Cairns.
Rangers have trapped and removed a crocodile after a teenager was attacked at a beach on the weekend.
For the past few weeks, Tessa Randello has been made to voice more bulletins in more regions. And she's not the only Southern Cross Austereo newsreader doing so, because the company's Razor Gang has been busy slashing staff across its brands, including Triple M, the Hit Network and on-demand audio platform Listener, leaving the few remaining newsreaders to voice scores of regional bulletins.
Karatha's Triple M.
Hey there, Brianna Redhead with your local headlines.
Broom's 102.9. Triple M.
Brianna Redhead with your local headlines.
Esperance's 747. Geraldton's 98.1. The Goldfields.
Brianna Redhead with your local headlines.
But if you're stressed just listening to Brianna Redhead's output, don't be, because at staff briefings last month, Southern Cross executives unveiled their secret weapon in the fight against, well, labour costs. Yes, artificial intelligence, of course, which requires staff only to
select what you were interested in, how long you'd like the broadcast to be, and it would populate a couple of lines for each story.
The tool, promoted by management as a panacea, scrapes local news from the internet, compiles bulletins and, yes, writes stories.
The way it was explained to me was that it would be scripting for us, spitting out stories for us that we would then check. I don't think any of us trust it, but we don't have much choice.
And what of the company's pride in delivering local news to regional listeners? Nah, FCA couldn't give a rat's, with insiders telling us that at one recent staff briefing, Chief Operating Officer Stephen Haddad announced the company only did news because it's required to by law. The Broadcasting Services Act, which requires SCA's regional radio stations to broadcast at least 62.5 minutes a week of local news, is considered such a pain in the arse that SCA has been looking to replace its cumbersome journalists with robots for some time.
That was always the plan. One of the things we tried to work out was how much optimisation of AI can there be. The outcome was a headcount reduction.
Because real people filing real news have to
phone the police and hospitals and obtain court documents. The aim was to automate all of that and generate it using AI, and then you create scripts, use synthetic voices, so it's all ready in the morning.
Southern Cross Austereo's AI ambitions date back to at least 2021, when the company laid out millions of dollars to take an interest in 3 separate AI plays: Source AI, New York company Frequency, and Melbourne AI outfit Sonant. The radio company has been making steady progress into a synthetic future, with AI already driving its Fuel Watch segments and with many of its weather reports voiced not by Sydney news lead Amy Goggins, but by a digital clone of her voice.
Mostly fine for the rest of today in Mackay.
The company's formal AI policy assures us human connection remains at the core of its audio output, which is a great comfort, particularly as SCA's management is all alather at the prospect of yet more clones.
SCA has plans to create podcasts using AI content and voices, and aspirations that if the talent can't make it in for a last-minute VO change, or weekends or public holidays, then to have the talent's voice cloned. It's already thinking about how to structure employment contracts to get voices cloned.
Some SCA insiders are horrified at the rollout of the AI tool, fearing breaches of copyright and unwitting defamations. But of course, the company offered us this rather soothing assurance.
All bulletins continue to be fact-checked, edited and read by journalists based in our provincial and metro hubs across the country.
The job cuts come as SCA prepares the ground for its proposed Seven West media merger, with pledges to squeeze even more serious savings from the combined business. The media game is so tough these days that AI must indeed appear like a holy grail to bean-counting executives, especially looking to do away with expensive and often mouthy journalists. But anyone who really believes audiences will blithely accept the undeclared use of AI voices as an acceptable replacement for trained journalists is living in a fantasy land and helping, by the way, to hurry on an information apocalypse where trust in the news is but a quaint relic of the past. And now, Network 10's not-so-new current affairs experiment, which 4 months in has struggled to get out of first gear.
Channel 10 will trim its underperforming current affairs program, 10 News Plus, from 1 hour to 30 minutes as part of a broader overhaul of the network's 2026 lineup.
Launched to great fanfare, 10 News Plus was an attempt to refashion television current affairs by going back to basics.
If it affects your life, we'll ask the tough questions.
Join us for more than just the headlines.
Poached from rival Network 7, hosts Amelia Brace and Denham Hitchcock promised in-depth reporting and a big-picture perspective on the news of the day. The program opened strongly with the story of an Australian woman jailed overseas and occasionally shone, like in July when it scooped its rivals, landing an interview with Greens candidate and protester Hannah Thomas, whose treatment by police is now the subject of a criminal prosecution. But pitted against 7 and 9's 6 p.m. news bulletins, which together typically attract more than 2 million viewers, 10 News Plus was swiftly looking more like 10 News Minus.
In its first week on air, the show averaged just 211,000 viewers nationally. 4 weeks later, its audience had dwindled to 149,000.
Meanwhile, the program was pummeled by its critics, maligned for its terrible ratings and sledged by a panellist on the show that 10 News Plus had replaced. That show, The Project, was cancelled in June after Network 10's boss, Beverly McGarvey, decided she could no longer afford to pay its external production company, Roving Enterprises, nor the hefty salaries of its star panellists. But the show was axed with no firm plan as to what would replace it. And when the news division proposed a half-hour current affairs program at 1/6 the cost of The Project, McGarvey loved it so much she insisted it be stretched to 60 minutes with no additional resources. But is returning the show to its original 30-minute format going to work? Not everyone is convinced.
The 10 network has long been associated with light entertainment. 10 News Plus is the exact opposite. It is like Goldie Hawn suddenly deciding to do Shakespeare.
While media economist Peter Cox offered this remarkable declamation.
No longer should all networks be required to provide a news service as part of their broadcasting licence. 10 News should be dropped altogether.
Not sure we agree, Peter. 10's news boss, Martin White, told us the show was attracting a growing online audience, adding,
"When it comes to ratings, we're aware of the challenges, but it's not all about linear TV in this era of storytelling. A half-hour slot will suit the core DNA of the Bulletin better."
We certainly hope that's the case, because Australia's news media landscape needs more, not fewer, serious journalists trying to do serious things, which is why 10 must, in 2026, stand by its commitment to give this show every chance at success. And that's all from us tonight. Be sure to check us out on ABC iView, as well as YouTube, Facebook and X. You can find full statements on our website. And don't forget to send us your tips. I'll see you next week.